My name's Montenegro, but you already know that. My talk is called Building a Park. How do you build a public park? What do you do? Well, usually you kind of get the government involved. It's usually their land. It's also they're the ones who are going to put the money, right? And you get some experts involved, and they plan a park, and they put it out there, and voila, you have a public park. But how do you build a public park if you're building a public park here? This is behind this building. That's a big lot back there that's kind of abandoned. It was expropriated by the government. They moved the people out, and now it's just a big lot sitting there. Well, the government doesn't have money to do anything with it, and otherwise it would become a parking lot. But thankfully, a company became a member of the community. The owners of this building here, Ciudadela, Nick Prouty, decided to step in. And he said, you know what, I'll put the money. I'll put the money to put a public park for everyone. So there we go. We've got one problem out of the way. We've got someone who's willing to step in and put the money in order to create the park. The second issue we have is, so who's going to design this thing? Usual way, urban planners and experts get involved from the beginning. And in their great wisdom, they design something for the people. But that doesn't always work out so good, because they think they know what people want. But then when it comes to be executed, we find it doesn't work for people. So you need to get people who are very interested involved. And there's a lot of people who are interested in the future of Santurce. So you have Foundation for Puerto Rico, you have Los Muros Hablan, right? You have Andanza, the University of Sagrado Corazon, the company MOA, who's in the neighborhood here, and you have the Coalition Ciudadana por Santurce. And especially them, we've been working with lately, right? So even if you have people who care, you can still have a problem. Because what do? You go out and ask people, what do you want? You want a dog park? You want a kids park? You want swings or you want slides, right? If you ask people what they want, you end up with the Henry Ford problem. Henry Ford said everyone would ask for a faster horse. There's a better way. There's a better way by going out and understanding deeper the needs of everyone in the community. Great designs, great ideas usually start with understanding people. They're going out and talking to people who are usually fairly underserved and whose voices aren't always heard. So in this neighborhood, there's a lot of people like that. There's the Dominican community up the street. There's the elderly people who live in a building back here. There's a little old lady who comes here to the grocery store, and she comes in her little electric wheelchair, and then she drives back over the bridge to go to Condado. Those people don't always get heard, but if we could design for them, wouldn't we create a better park? So how do you do that? Here's one thing that we've already started working on with the Coalition for Santurce and Desayuno Calle. We took up 30 university students, architecture students from the UPI, and we trained them in design thinking, what we do. And we're asking them to go out and start talking to people in the community. Business owners, the elderly, people who ride the bus, people who work in the building, and we want them to have these one-on-one conversations and understand them deeper. What's your need? What do you look to do in the middle of the day, right? And we want to be inspired by the people we seek to serve, because that's where the best ideas will always come from. So they're going to go out and do that, and they're going to get these insights through empathy. And insights through empathy aren't asking people like a survey questions. What do you want? On a scale of 1 to 10, dog park? On a scale of 1 to 5, do you want a park or do you not want a park, right? That doesn't give us a lot of empathy. Empathy is understanding people emotionally, right? And it's asking these kind of questions. And I'm asking you guys these kind of questions tonight. What's your most memorable park experience? Do you remember something from being a kid, being in a park? Was your first kiss in a park? Did you ever go to Central Park? I remember playing with my kids in Central Park, and there's something memorable about that, right? What should a park help Santurce do? Should a park help us come together as a community? Should it be helping the old and young reconnect? Should it speak to Puerto Rican values and our history? What should that park do for all of us, right? What do you wish you could do in a park, and with whom? I can imagine grandparents who would like to somehow reconnect with their grandkids and explain to them their lives and taking a moment away from electronic devices to reconnect in a conversation. I'd imagine old people want to get together and talk again, like the public plazas of old, right? What public spaces do you go to now? And what do you do in those public spaces? So what do you do when you go to other parks in Puerto Rico? When you travel and you've gone to other parks, what are you seeking to do? Are you there to walk your dog? Are you there to take your kids outside for some fresh air? Are you there for some exercise? Are you lonely? All right? What needs to be considered when creating a park for Santurce? What realities do we need to take into consideration? What kind of things do we need to be aware of? How do we need to make sure that we don't leave anyone out? What are the limitations? What are the things we should be aware of? If you could create your dream park, what would it have in it? What amazing thing would it have in it? Would it have a Jaguar racing track? Right? Would it have some like magic tree that you could climb again, like when you were a kid when you climbed trees? What would that magical park have in it? Well, we want to ask those kind of questions, and we want to go ask them beyond just going and interviewing people. We've thought about public engagement, about getting kids from the local schools to go and draw their future park, and the Coalition for Santurce wants to go out and do this. We want to put up boards and just ask people, write it down. Tell us what you feel. Getting all that information, we can put together the best brainstormer ever. But that brainstorming is based on the realities, the emotions, the feelings, and the needs of everyone in our community. We are surely going to end up with something amazing. So I hope that right now, all of you inside your mind's eye have some image of some incredible park. Some park that people traveling from around the world, when they come to San Juan, people tell them, hey, you're going to San Juan? You got to go to Santurce and go to this park. That place is magical. That's the kind of park we want. But we want it to be a park for everyone, so we're willing to go out and ask people. Thank you very much. By the way, a big thanks to the Coalition Ciudadano para Santurce, because we're working on part of that project with them. Our neighbor next door is Nick Prouty, who's put up all the money and put a lot of his personal time and effort into this, and to Moi, which is a design company here in Santurce, who has kind of a love affair with recreating Santurce, and they volunteered the moment I told them that we wanted to work on this stuff and help the coalition out. They jumped on board the next day to start working on it. So that's my Techakucha. Thank you very much. Questions, comments?